My name's Rob Smith. I commenced Trail Easy as a boat business. Prior to that, my father started it as a caravan business back in 1961. And what we have here is the sort of an end of the road to a lifetime of the boating business, general engineering, and the gear, plant and equipment, and a lot of the things we do have just gone into hibernation, and that's led to deterioration of a lot of the gear. With customers, we're in a winding down mode where we're just looking to get rid of the stuff we've accumulated. We don't want to dump it, we don't want to scrap it, we don't think it's environmentally or financial common sense. It's hard to stomach the fact that all this gear would just go as scrap metal and back to China or something like that. One of the problems is that with the people that you want to see with this stuff and where it'll get preserved, most of them have got very little money to put into it. And so it's a compromise between their finances and the scrap man, and the scrap man's the last man you want to see with the stuff, but financially that's probably the bottom line. We've always been involved in the repair business, which equates in a lot of regards to recycling, and it's an area that just needs some common sense put into it and some guts put into it, because in the older generation things were recycled more, but you've got an attitude now that you employ people, they can't even sharpen a drill, and say, oh, you don't sharpen drills, you just buy a packet of new ones, which is just, again, absolutely crazy. It's crazy from a sustainability point of view, it's crazy from a financial point of view. On places like this, we get someone every week that just throws their hands up and screams and said, if only my kids could find places like this and grow up in them and learn instead of wasting time on the computer. I grew up in an era where you got your ears boxed if you didn't turn lights off that you weren't using, and most of that was because it was a waste of money. And in the same environment, you're encouraged to waste water. The government encouraged you to waste water, and it was because the government wanted the income from the consumption of the water. And now, of course, it's turned on its ear. You didn't waste then for financial reasons, and you're encouraged to waste for the financial reasons again for the governments, which were the opposite to yours. But these days, oh, you know, it's unsustainable, just the wastage that there is, and a lot of that's government policy and lack of common sense applied to legal positions and so forth. As people say, they try and make the environment idiot-proof. What they should be doing is getting rid of the idiots.
I was driving a friend to the airport and passed, I've always got my eye out for skip bins and interesting things on the side of the road, and I saw this what looked to me like a UFO. And so on my way back I stopped and had a look around, and there's a yard absolutely full of machinery and bits of rusted metal and stuff. And this was outside the gates right near the bin. And yeah, I like UFOs, so I thought it'd be a really good thing to bring home with me. But I'm working towards an exhibition of little creatures made out of recycled materials, and this is the mothership for the little creatures. Well, I think, like quite a few people in Perth, I really enjoy going around during the bulk waste throwouts and looking for interesting, useful, valuable bits and pieces. And some of the things I'm looking for are actual, useful household items for this place: tables, chairs, bits of timber that I can build with. And then other times I'm just looking for the things that, sort of inspiring artistically, things that can be, modified or fixed. So I was quite amused recently because someone, I think it was in Melbourne, was arrested by the police for stealing a vacuum cleaner off hard waste, and it was obviously of such sort of national interest that it made a lot of the major news networks, and his charge was very quickly dropped when the story became public, and it was quite clearly revealed that once something's been thrown on the side of the road, it's ownerless, so it's not owned by the council, it's no longer sort of considered the property of the person who's thrown it out, which is great because I'd be surprised if more than 20 or 30% of what gets thrown onto the verges during hard waste collections actually ends up being picked up by the councils. I've certainly seen piles diminish from cubic metres to just a couple of items over a day or two. I find people walk into the house, their eyes really light up. I think people are very inspired by the diversity of things to look at and by the sort of alternative uses of things. And that's really gratifying for me because I've been, it's quite clear that I've been gathering and collecting bits and pieces, and there was a while there where I felt like I was going to be one of those old blokes who gets buried under their own collection of rubbish. Tess is off from school sick today, and last time she was off school sick, we went out verge collecting. So it was also a good thing using that time to, I suppose, to sort of share or encourage the value of recycling. I think it's a great thing for kids to learn in a very practical way, that they don't need new dinner plates or new chairs or new pretty much anything. If you can get hold of it second hand and it's functional, then it's environmentally sound. In my opinion, things have often got more character anyway. I think a lot of people are surprised when they come to Australia or maybe to Perth and see how common it is to go to op shops for your clothing or second-hand shops for your furniture. I think we've got a very strong culture of recycled. I don't think we've got much stigma on using used things, and I think that's fantastic. I think if I had to choose between working the hours to pay for something that costs $100 in order to have it new, or working a fifth of the hours to have it for $20, or going and looking for it on the side of the road for free, I'd rather have that spare time left for living my life in a creative way.
Well, it's good to know that everything came from either the op shop or the side of the road, because you know that he hasn't spent too much money on whatever it is that he puts around the house or in rooms. It gives it a lot more character having something that's old or fail.
Renovations I've done on the house, weatherboards and windows and doors and so forth, have all been salvage materials, and along the way I've accumulated lots of stuff that I've intended for a purpose and either haven't got round to finding a purpose for, or have no longer got the purpose.
Sometimes stuff goes into my room, but apart from that, it's alright.
There is another sort of avenue for materials that I've become involved in recently, and that's collecting new industry waste. I do that through an organisation called Remeda. I work for the Perth branch of Remeda as the materials coordinator.
Remeda is a non-for-profit organisation situated in West Perth. We collect industrial offcuts from companies around Perth and some outer suburbs. We collect the industrial offcuts for creative reuse. Remita stands for King Myrto, who was the king in the story that touched everything to gold, including his own child, and then he realised the value of everything as it was. There are about 6 or 7 Remitas around the world. They were founded here in Australia in 2004. Remita's purpose is to inspire creativity and curiosity in the Western Australian community on industrial discarded waste. Our centre is available to members. We've got memberships for art students, families, daycare centres, and that allows you to collect as much material as you wish for the whole year from the centre. Remita's philosophies fall a lot upon the beauty of the object, and through that the presentation of the material is also very important. So at the centre we try and collect the materials in multiples and display them in their multiple only. We also focus on colours, textures. The workshops we provide engage children in valuing materials, and we get them to explore these materials through different sensory experiences. Every year Remita is part of Febridge Festival, where we run an area within the children's festival space, and this year we created a huge Remita experience play area.
This lizard puppet was a collaboration between about 5 schools with a local artist. It's about 12 metres long, and we use it in festival parades and stuff like that. It takes about 12 kids to carry it, and the neck lizard piece flares up and the tongue shoots out, and it's fun.
It's only a newly acquired job. It's very new to me, and in the last 6 months I've met dozens and dozens of ever-giving volunteers that are just always come up with great ideas, i.e. Sheryl.
My name is Sheryl. I'm a volunteer at Remita. I've been here at Remita since 2007. My role here is welcoming people, introducing people to Remita, running tours, sorting and processing materials. Basically, Remita has art, education, environment and creativity, so I'm in heaven.
How did I end up here? I ended up working for multiple industries, training people, teaching, etc. But at the backbone of that, I've always been an artist, I've always been a musician, and I was quite dismayed and distraught as to how much stuff gets thrown out by big business, and they completely overlook this style of education, this style of reusing. I
see waste as a problem, and I see my kids have so much stuff and they just want more. But I bring them to Remita and they still want more Remita things too, but they see how they can reuse things.
Reuse, remake, you can always rethink something, and it can always 9 times out of 10 turn out better than the original product.
I still like the idea of treasure, valuing waste as treasure.